Afternoon for NASCAR Cup Series qualifying at the Iowa Speedway for tomorrow's afternoon running of the Iowa Corn 350. And yes, this is the NASCAR Cup Series. Appreciate everybody tuning in here today. A little bit of a delay for qualifying with rain that was looming. It actually washed out Xfinity Series qualifying, but Cup Series qualifying with just a slight delay about to get underway. We will just have less breakdown period between Cup qualifying and the Xfinity race a little bit later on today. That race still scheduled to begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. As of right now, they got an interview going on with Noah Gragson. He was fastest in practice yesterday. If we get any other interviews during the course of this stream, I'll let you listen in. I just started the live stream mid-interview, so I didn't want to break to that immediately out of the get-go. Appreciate everybody tuning in, though. This is our first of two live commentary streams. Again, NASCAR Xfinity coverage later today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. No more rain in the forecast later into the evening hours today, and I believe tomorrow looks to be clear at the Iowa Speedway as well. Some pop-up showers still in the area for the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So hopefully we don't have any more issues with that, and we can get this full qualifying session in a timely manner. Of course, Cup Series practice again took place yesterday, a full 50 minutes, with this being a new track on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Mentioned already, Noah Gragson was fastest overall in that practice session. Wade Zielinski, Dan Bowers, thanks for tuning into the stream. You're the first couple in the chat, so appreciate that. Tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series action is going to begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So a night race starting in the daylight hours. It will finish pretty close to complete darkness. And that will be a fun one. Again, the first ever NASCAR Cup Series race at the Iowa Speedway. This track has been a staple of the Truck and Xfinity Series schedules for quite some time, as well as IndyCar. As far as other major oval racing series, ARCA's raced here several times as well. ARCA had their race last night after Cup Series practice. And again, the Xfinity Series here this weekend. The Truck Series not going to be racing at Iowa this season. Zachary Schuchman also welcome into the stream. They don't even have the raw feed up on NASCAR.com quite yet. Keep refreshing the page there. I believe once we get a car out on the racetrack, I'm sure it will work. But at the moment, qualifying has not begun yet. Again, Xfinity coverage is set to begin in a little under 2 hours from now, but with practice already in the books, this stream was probably only going to be about an hour anyway. So I'd imagine as long as we get things wrapped up here well before 3 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern Time at least, I'll get this in plenty of time before the Xfinity race to still go on as scheduled. And hopefully no delays there. So group qualifying per usual. Top 5 from each group will re-qualify for the top 10 positions when the time comes. Austin Dillon is the first driver in Group A, set to go out for his qualifying lap whenever they get the A-OK green light to begin qualifying here soon. And all the Group B drivers having the covers on the car in case of any more potential looming rain. Tire issues were at the abundance yesterday in Cup Series practice with 4 tire failures over the course of it, 3 cautions as a result. 3 right front tires and a left rear tire on Ross Chastain had gone down. 2 drivers will be in backup cars and not qualify for this race today, that being Christopher Bell and Austin Cindric. Both had right front tire failures. Ty Gibbs also had a right front tire failure. In fact, he was the first one to have a tire failure. It was on the straightaway, felt it going down before rolling off into turn 3, came to pit road. No major damage on Gibbs's Toyota. So here we go. Supposed to rain again at 1:30 local time. I know the percentage of the rain, percentage chances of the rain are right around 50% from now through 3 p.m. local time. So it is going to be very hit or miss on whether we can get this full qualifying session in. So hopefully we can, and we don't have to revert to the metric system to set the qualifying order. As long as we get through round one and every driver has a chance to qualify, then we will have qualifying locked in. 36 cars here this weekend, no non-chartered entries at the track. So all the 36 charter teams will be in this Cup Series race for tomorrow.
And to be honest, I'm not so sure it's going to help you get to pit road and be underneath that orange box. But what it's going to help you do more than anything is not hit the end of that wall, because it's giving you a cue that you're not going to go off that line to get inside of that orange box, but you could use that line to make sure you're turned enough to keep from hitting the wall.
A visual that something will come into play as far as the Xfinity race this afternoon, as well as the Cup race tomorrow. Cars are on the grid. We'll see qualifying. We come back to Iowa.
There you have it, just finishing up the track drying, maybe towards the entrance of pit road a little bit more before we get this session underway. And as long as we don't get any more rain, at least when the cars obviously get done with qualifying, they'll be able to drive pit road in plenty of time before the Xfinity race begins again a little bit later on. Steve in the booth at the moment, yeah, he was definitely feeling slightly under the weather during the practice session yesterday. Hopefully all goes well for him and he can be back in the booth for the race tomorrow. I think time for the NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage, so I don't know if they're doing the call for the Xfinity race as well. That will be on USA Network when that does begin. The Cup race tomorrow, also on the USA Network. And if you're wondering for visuals for today's qualifying stream, procedure, that is on the USA Network as well. But obviously, you can listen to all that live here this weekend right here on KRC. Well, we'll just get the diecast showing on right now while we're still waiting for the cars to hit the racetrack for the first time here for some quali. This weekend's diecast showing, again, another 164 scale. I pretty much wrapped up all the 124 scale diecasts but one, but I'm saving that for the Cup race this weekend. And this driver has been very dominant on the short tracks this season. It is Denny Hamlin, and it is a 2010 FedEx Toyota Camry. Car tomorrow, of course, with the wing early in the 2010 season. So there you have it. Denny Hamlin 2010. It's the FedEx Express.com, or not .com, FedEx Express Toyota Camry. Of course, Hamlin, some alternate kind of paint schemes with the black and then whatever like stripe they have. So this one, the orange with the Express. So again, this is the diecast showing for this one. Usually we do that during the break period, but again, waiting for cars to hit the track during the slight delay. So hopefully it. Christopher Bell standing in with Kim Coon on pit road for an interview.
Are you? I mean, as far as running the backup car, I don't think it's going to be that much different, or at least I hope it is. I know I've got one of the best teams in the business putting it together, but the qualifying order has got all of us spun out down here. And if we're going to do one round, which we've been told it is one round, then they have the lineup completely screwed up because it's off of the metric, but the Group A cars are qualifying ahead of the Group B cars. So, yeah, we got it jumbled up here. As we talk about the tire issues we saw yesterday, how big of a concern is that amongst you and your team and other drivers you've spoken with? I honestly don't know. I honestly have no idea. Obviously, it was alarming that we had so many tire failures yesterday, but we didn't have any at the test, so I have no idea what we're going to have tomorrow. Christopher Bell, as we look at his history here, a multi-time winner in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway.
A lot of drivers scratching their head as to what to expect for this race tomorrow, but he touched on a little bit of the qualifying. Again, it's a modified situation, second round.
Okay.
Between those, the fastest five from each group.
Yeah, Group B from the non-top five fastest speeds, they're going to start on the inside road from 11th on back. So Group A will start on the outside road from 11th on back. So that part of it hasn't changed, right. And it is a confusing rule because there isn't a second group that goes out to determine who sits on the pole. But the order is correct. It's just it's a little bit hard to understand exactly how this is going to work. But
smiles there on Kyle Busch's face. We'll see if that continues here in this weekend at Iowa. It's been a little frustrating to keep that streak alive.
Well, so there you have it. Only one round of qualifying, then with the delay, so that way we can get this in a timely fashion without having to postpone the start of the Xfinity race a little bit later. So every driver's still going to get 2 laps because this is a track less than 1 mile in length. So for short tracks with the qualifying procedures, again, 2 laps will be had. We'll have Group A drivers on the track first, then Group B drivers. But just one qualifying session. The Group A drivers will make up the outside row. The Group B drivers will make up the inside row. And I think we don't know the full understanding of this yet. It sounds like usually positions or rows 6 through the rest of the field would be determined by the group you were in, so that's not different. The top 10 in the running order, though, I don't know if they're going to mix those times together. I would imagine they probably will, so a driver still has a shot at the pole in Group A, even though that technically sets up the outside lane. I would imagine that's what they're going to do, but it's definitely a little on the confusing side of things. I don't want to say they're making it up as they go, but obviously with, maybe it's in the rule book where a situation like this where they have to condense it. That's where we're at. Raw feed is available. You can see the order in which the Group A drivers will qualify. We'll start things off with Austin Dillon, followed by John Hunter Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, Kaz Grala, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Zane Smith, Eric Jones, and Carson Hocevar will be the first 9 drivers to qualify for the race tomorrow. And again, no non-chartered entries, so 18 in each group. Wildcard race for tire issues in practice. Yeah, we have no clue what's going to happen in tomorrow's race. So we're going to see a bunch of tire failures. I'd imagine we're probably going to get a competition caution early in the race. How early will that come? We really only saw the tires lasting about 20 laps a run yesterday. Now, obviously, the team's going to be less aggressive with the air pressure they put in, but how much longer is that tire going to last over the course of the run? Not starting with too low of an air pressure, because they only made it 20 laps. Full fuel run, as Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte stated on the broadcast during practice yesterday, full fuel run is 106 laps. So they only really made it about 20% of the way through a fuel run before having a tire failure. So that's definitely going to have to get lengthened out quite a bit. And I believe the first 2 stages are each 100 laps, if I'm not mistaken as well. So pretty much a full fuel run there. Showing the playoff standings on screen right now. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, all locked into the playoffs on wins. Go further down towards the bubble. Bubba Wallace is the last driver in on points, only 8 points to the good over Kyle Busch, 16 points ahead of Joey Logano, 27 points ahead of Chase Briscoe, Michael McDowell, 93 points out of first, are 17th through 20th. In the standings, Chris Buescher also just inside the cutoff line. He's 32 points to the good, 64 points to the good for Ryan Blaney, 65 for Alex Bowman. Ross Chastain's plus 73, Ty Gibbs plus 86, and Martin Truex Jr. plus 128, which is over 2 full races worth of points if you're wondering exactly how big that gap is. It was announced yesterday at the racetrack in the media center that Martin Truex Jr. will be entering the second half of his final NASCAR Cup Series season, as he will not be racing full-time in the Cup Series following this 2024 season. Still winless on the year, looking for that first career win. Came very close last week. Ended up eventually running out of gas anyway. Got a worse than a second-place finish that he was running in the closing laps of that race after Kyle Larson had gotten around him in the final 10 laps for that championship. And on top of that, we'll see if he'll be able to try and get it done. Austin Dillon's on the racetrack as we are beginning qualifying here today at the Iowa Speedway. I believe the first lap will be timed at the start-finish line this time by for Dillon. A little bit of a slide in the center of turns 3 and 4. Again, repaved corners here at Iowa on the bottom middle grooves. More up close to the wall in turns 3 and 4 than in turns 1 and 2, but you're not going to be seeing anybody run the very outside lane here this season with, of course, having the repave in the middle to bottom grooves of the racetrack. It's going to be far too much grip there. You're going to have to stay in it. Might lead for a little passing on the racetrack, and with the tire issues we've seen, it's definitely going to be an interesting race when the time comes tomorrow. First lap for Austin Dillon was a 25.251. Very green racetrack. All the rubber that was laid down yesterday obviously washed off. And again, Xfinity qualifying completely washed out. No cars hit the track there, so they'll be set up with the metric system for later today. Second lap is a little bit quicker, I would believe, for Austin Dillon. Yep, jumped into the 24s there, 24.891. About 0.6 of a second quicker on lap 2 than lap 1. Lap times are going to continuously get quicker as this track gets rubbered in. These first few to go out definitely going to be hurting themselves, I would imagine, for their starting order. Just the unlucky draw of being the first drivers out on the racetrack. John Hunter Nemechek is now out there, tracking in the green to be able to beat Austin Dillon. At least his first lap. I don't know why it's got his first lap time on there. First lap for Nemechek, 24.628. Puts him to the top of the board already by about 0.3 of a second. Second lap should be quicker, and it looks to be quicker by a couple tenths. It's going to be a great lap for Nemechek. As he works his way up off of turn 4. Toyotas have been very strong in the short tracks this season. Tim Kuhn standing with Michael McDowell as Daniel Hemrick's on track.
Than what we practiced yesterday, so we're going to be at a huge disadvantage here. Hopefully they separate it by rows like they normally do, because Group B is going to be so much faster. But our Ford Mustang was pretty good yesterday. Made a lot of changes on the left shell soft Mustang, but yeah, today's kind of tricky with the weather in and out, and got to go lay down a lap here. It's going to be tough.
Hemrick times in second in between Austin Dillon and John Hunter Nemechek on his first lap, though. He's currently working his second lap as he enters turn 3 and 4. Overdrove the entrance to the corner a little bit. The back of his race car sliding out as he powers down the throttle off turn 4. Hemrick going to work his way to the start-finish line, and he does move to the top of the chart. So 24.332 for Hemrick. He's first of the first 3 drivers to qualify. Up next is Kaz Gralla in the 15 for Rick Ware Racing. Have to refresh the page so that way we can try to get these lap times in on screen with the raw feed. Lacking a little bit behind on NASCAR.com right now. I'll just completely get out of the website, try to log back in for you guys. Had the qualifying order up on screen, but I didn't have the live results, so hopefully that will get fixed. Can't really do anything about that for the time being. Gralla to the top of the speed charts of the 24.314 on his first lap nonetheless. Second lap is working his way right now. His teammate Justin Haley was 4th fastest in practice overall yesterday. A new racetrack like this could be a great equalizer for a smaller team like Rick Ware Racing this weekend. Gralla in the 15 car on a part-time schedule this year. And a little bit slower on lap 2, but again still at the top of the first 4 qualifiers. One of the top candidates to take over that 19 ride in the rumor mill side of things when Martin Truex Jr. retires at season end. Trying to prove himself by making it into the playoffs this year. He's right on the bubble, just on the outside looking in after being on the inside of the cutoff line for quite a good portion of the early going of the season. Slipped off in performance over the last several weeks. Looking to rebound this weekend, and so far he's the first driver to put a lap time in the 23-second lap barrier in qualifying. His first of 2 qualifying laps was a 23.759. So the only driver to run their fastest qualifying laps on their second lap is Austin Dillon and Daniel Hemrick. Of the first 5, now Chase Briscoe Picks up a 10th from lap 1 to lap 2, so Briscoe will time out at a 23.676. So that's the time to beat for right now. 7/10 of a second difference between Briscoe's fast lap and Grala's fast lap from first and second. Denny Hamlin on the racetrack, having an early qualifying effort due to an engine failure in last weekend's race at Sonoma. Again, the metric system in the qualifying order is based off your last finish from the race before, as well as owners and drivers' points. So even though Hamlin towards the top of the drivers and owner standings, in fact, he's currently in the hunt for that regular season championship. Again, a bad finish last week puts him towards the back as far as one of the first drivers hit the track here today. His first lap still in the 24s. He's going to have to pick up about a half a second to try to get the Briscoe's fast time for his second lap. And as Hamlin works his way up off of turn 4, he picks up, but he doesn't pick up enough to get to the top spot. Hamlin with a 23.896 on lap 2. He's currently second of 6. Zane Smith in the 71 for Spire Motorsports is up next. One of the 3 rookies running full-time in 2024. He's currently last of the 3 in the Rookie of the Year standings. His teammate Carson Hocevar is second. Josh Berry leads the way by a very slim margin over Hocevar after last weekend's race at Sonoma. Hocevar caught up quite a bit in the standings last week after Berry had a pretty poor performance. Really all weekend, had several spins. Glad he's back on an oval. Nonetheless, his wheelhouse is short track this weekend. So we'll see if Berry can pick up. He will be in Group B of qualifying. As for Zane Smith, 5th fastest on his first lap. Trying to pick up from that on lap 2. Speeds upwards of 150 miles an hour for Smith into turn 3 on his second lap. Very fast for a short track. Again, a 7th, 8th mile racetrack here at Iowa Speedway. Smith jumps up to 3rd. 24.211, so he did have quite the pickup from lap 1 to lap 2. Moves up 3 positions in the qualifying order. And now we have Eric Jones. Jones has not had a great season since coming back from his vertebrae fracture in his lower back after his crash at Talladega in April. Was last overall of the 36 cars in practice yesterday. And that car is evil into turns 3 and 4. Big moment on the first lap for Eric Jones. Sliding around everywhere. Last of the 8 drivers on lap 1, and because that happened in the middle of 3 and 4, it's probably going to hurt the start of his second lap. He's moving around a ton, and that car has just been off all weekend for Eric Jones. Not the first time we've seen that this season, but his car is moving around a ton right now. Still a relatively green racetrack. Only 7 drivers have gone out before him, with definitely the illest handling car of anybody that's gone out to qualify. He did pick up a couple spots, so he won't be starting in the last row for the race tomorrow. He moves from 8th to 6th, but even on that second lap, he was not stable whatsoever. 24.522 was the fastest lap of the 2 for Eric Jones. Again, it was on his second qualifying lap. Carson Hocevar is now on the racetrack. Second rookie to hit the track for qualifying today. And the 9th driver overall to make a qualifying run. A little wide through turns 1 and 2, all the way down on the white line on the bottom of the track through 3 and 4 for Hocevar. He's been pretty good at qualifying this year. He's had several top dozen starts in qualifying on both ovals and road courses. Hocevar's first lap puts him 4th, 24.310. And more often than not, we've seen a pickup from lap 1 to lap 2. Very few drivers have not picked up on their qualifying laps of the now 9 drivers to run. Hocevar does pick up a little bit, 0.2 of a pickup. 24.037 for Hocevar. He's 3rd of 9. A lot of drivers moving around quite a bit, and even Hocevar was sliding around on his first lap quite a bit. No commercial break here. Bubba Wallace is now on the track to qualify. 10th driver. And again, the Toyotas have had a lot of speed on short tracks this season, so it'll be interesting to see where this 2311 Toyota will qualify here today. Fairly steady through turns 1 and 2 on his first lap. Haven't seen that out of many drivers on their qualifying runs so far. His hands are moving, but the car doesn't seem to be too unsteady. Very low grip racetrack here at Iowa Speedway. Third fastest for Wallace on lap 1, 23.984. He's actually only the second driver to run a 23-second lap time on his first lap. The other one was Chase Briscoe, who's still at the top of the leaderboard. Hamlin, who was also in the 23s, his first lap was not in the 23s. He picked up a couple times to get that 23.8. Wallace, though, does not pick up from lap 1 to lap 2, unlike Denny Hamlin, and he remains in third. Again, a 23.984 for Wallace on his first lap. Now the racetrack is Corey LaJoie repping the Iowa Hawkeyes paint scheme this weekend at the Iowa Speedway. I gotta say, even though I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan who's, again, they're in the Big Ten with Iowa, I've always liked Iowa's colors. I just like the black and yellow. Seen several good schemes out of Corey LaJoie over the last couple seasons. And he's having a handful with his race car right now, just as much as his teammate Carson Hocevar did a couple of qualifying runs before him. Fifth fastest on lap 1 for LaJoie. A little bit more steady, at least in turns 3 and 4. On lap 2. Should be a bit quicker. And it doesn't look like he did pick up. I believe LaJoie is still 5th overall. They pull the leaderboard back up on screen. I'll have that for you. Again, the raw feed is not working right now, and I would imagine it has a lot to do with the delay before the start of this qualifying run. It could also do with the fact that there's only one session, one round, and not 2 rounds like we would usually see. So that could have something to do with it as well. Again, 5th fastest for LaJoie. His lap time is a 24.130. AJ Allmendinger on track actually just knocked LaJoie down a spot as AJ moves into the top 5 now. 4th on his first lap. Pretty close to a 24 flat. Wrapping the bottom. AJ's been a very underrated driver throughout his Cup career on short tracks. And faster on lap 1 than lap 2 for AJ here today. 24.035 for Allmendinger. Todd Gilliland is now on the racetrack.
Sports.
Just got in the wall on the exit. All right, so now learn. Back to the white line. Don't ask so much of it. All right, that's much smoother. Again, focus on getting there. Don't miss the bottom.
Pretty good through 3 and 4. Better.
Yeah, let's see if this gets a better lap time. It's a much smoother lap.
24.19 to a 23.90. So 0.2 of a second faster. Yeah, sliding out of turn 2. Well, maybe a little contact there.
What I love about the art of driving a race car is most people think if you want to go faster, you just push the pedal quicker. You just don't come off the gas. You just drive it harder. You know, be tough, be strong. A lot of times that makes you go slower. It's a finesse game. Even when you're being aggressive, you still have to do everything exactly right.
Oh, and that was getting back into the gas there for Kyle Busch when the back end kicked out on him. The entry to 1 looked very good. Again, through 3 and 4, right on that white line. We'll see how the veteran does in his second lap. 24.19 for lap 1.
That lap that Briscoe laid down, it's looking pretty good right now. Seems like the track got better, and then it just kind of stalled out.
Lap 2 for Busch. Big improvement. 23.69. Almost a half a second faster for Kyle Busch on his second lap.
You said it, Rick, that big wiggle off the corner. Christopher Bell, first time in this car.
Yeah, this is a backup car after he slammed into the wall yesterday in practice when a tire went down.
Listen to how early he lifts off the gas. Nowhere near that new asphalt.
And really doesn't get into the throttle until almost exiting the turn. First lap for Bell, about 24 flat. Bell, one of the drivers who did the tire test here back on May 28th. A smooth lap. Let's see how he does.
So, Rick, that's a good point. Like, the track was so different yesterday compared to
now with a handful.
Compared to how it was at the test. The pace is so much faster yesterday. This is more the pace it was when they were tire testing.
Here comes Michael McDowell. McDowell having a little bit of trouble there staying on the bottom of the track through 1 and 2 on this first lap.
Whoa, that was a huge moment getting into the corner.
Lap 1, probably a throwaway for McDowell. He was 13th fastest.
Still. The problem, Rick, is if you never get to the white line, it's not going to have grip. Right? So McDowell drives in the corner, his car, he can't turn it. So he never got to the white line. And above the white line, there's just no grip. So it really is, in my eyes, you have to get the inch of the corner right. If you get the inch of the corner right, then let the car take a set and go to the throttle. But if you miss it, you're never going to recover.
24 flat for McDowell on his second lap, has him 9th fastest in Group A. Only 2 drivers still to go in this first group, and that's Tyler Reddick on the clock now.
It's 40 right there.
Well, big wiggle into 3.
Yep. All right, this isn't Tyler's strength. Slow down. It's like because he's on the gas all the time, but ease up on this entry. Because I think the pole is out there for him. I think fast time in Group A is there. Possibly. Let's see if he can get turn 3 right.
Just never got down to that white line that you mentioned. So Reddick was 23.70 on his first lap. On second lap, not faster at a 24.03. Here comes Chase Elliott. He's the final car in Group A. Again, there's only going to be 1 round, so there won't be a second round for those drivers that are in the top 5 of each group. They will make up the top 10 starting positions for tomorrow's race. Lap. But 4th quickest at a 23.78.
This is so hard. They're dealing with something they've never dealt with before on this racetrack, and it's just you have to adapt very quickly. It's not in a race car driver's instinct to slow down, right? Like that's not how you got to this point. You got to this point in your life by pushing hard.
23.
All right, so we'll go through the full order here. I just paused the broadcast right before they went to commercial break. Group A qualifying is complete. Chase Briscoe with the fast lap of a 23.676. A good weekend for SHR so far. Gregson fastest in practice overall yesterday. Fastest in Group A qualifying is Chase Briscoe. Again, a 23.676 was his fast lap. Kyle Busch second with a 23.697. Tyler Reddick third. Chase fourth, who just ran a 23.749 as he was the last driver to qualify in that group. And Christopher Bell with a 23.885 rounds out the fast 5. Again, there will not be any second round here with qualifying being delayed over a half hour from its original start time. This is so we can get qualifying wrapped up and still get all the pre-race festivities and the actual Xfinity Series race started on its original start time of about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 2:30 p.m. local time. As far as the rest of the qualifying order for Group A, behind the top 5, Denny Hamlin was 6th, Todd Gilliland 7th, Bubba Wallace 8th, AJ Allmendinger 9th, Carson Hocevar 10th, Michael McDowell 11th, Corey LaJoie 12th, Zane Smith 13th, Kaz Gralla 14th, 15th for Daniel Hemrick, Eric Jones 16th, John Henry Nemechek 17th, and Austin Dillon was 18th place. So I'm going to try to get those times in real quick. I think we have to wait for them to come back from the commercial break here first. Try to go back and find it. Alrighty. I'm going to type this out so that way we have it. I have to put it on a Google Docs page, I guess, for the time being. Because they are going to intertwine the top 10 fully, but then positions 6 on back in each group will be where they will start in the respected rows for tomorrow's race. Again, Group A will be the outside row, Group B the inside row. That rule not changing with a condensing of qualifying here, but the top 10, instead of re-qualifying for the top 10 positions, they're just going to intertwine the lap times with each other. So, get those times up real quick. Briscoe had a 23.6. Well, I'm not going to be able to get him up. Qualifying's already going on. I don't want to miss any more. Group B is now out of the racetrack. Justin Haley, the first driver to qualify from Group B. So it'll be Justin Haley, Josh Berry, Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs, the first 5 in Group B to qualify. Then Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, William Byron, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Mark Truex Jr., Alex Bowman down. I kind of figured they were going to do that, but I didn't know if they were going to pull a Fox or not and not have that available for us. Again, the raw feed not working for qualifying today. And I think it's due to the way the procedure is going here with just one round, if I had to guess. So hopefully we'll be back up and running for the Xfinity Series race and the Cup Series race tomorrow. 27 likes. Try to drive that up as close to 50 as we can. So Justin Haley's fastest lap of his qualifying run was a 23.475. Josh Berry just wrapped up qualifying with his fastest lap being a 23.176. Lap times much quicker out of the gate here for Group A than what they were for, or much quicker, I should say, for Group B than what they were for Group A. So already we're pretty much looking at Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell. Those guys are more than likely going to end up qualifying positions 6 through 10. And the top 5 from this group will be the top 5 total. So for Group B here, these drivers will be going for the pole because already Barry's lap time faster by about a half a second than Chase Briscoe. It's amazing how much pickup there was from round 1 to round 2. F1 Ultimate, thanks for tuning in. Noah Gragson now on the racetrack. Harrison Burton's fast lap was a 23.571. Even that was faster than Briscoe's fast lap, who won Group A's qualifying portion. Again, they are not going to re-qualify for those top 10 positions like usual here today, again, with qualifying being postponed over a half hour for rain. And still trying to get this done before 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time today. Gregson's first lap, not that quick, 23.933. You have to pick up quite a bit on his second lap to have any sort of a shot to get to his teammate Josh Berry for the pole. Third, he only picked up one position. Picked up about 0.4 of a second, though. Big wiggle on that first lap in turns 1 and 2 for Gregson. Great job catching the car, at least. 23.534 was that second lap time for Noah. So fastest in practice yesterday. We'll see if an SHR Ford can get the pole today, with Josh Berry having the fast lap overall right now. And his teammate Chase Briscoe in round 1 had the fastest lap of Group A. Now on the racetrack is Ty Gibbs in the Monster Energy Toyota Camry. Fifth qualifier here today is Gibbs. And fifth up 5 with a 23.749. Reddick was the only Toyota from Group A to qualify in the top 5. 1 Ford and 3 Chevys also. My bad. Christopher Bell also was in the top 5. Now, Bell will be starting at the rear of the field tomorrow. Wanted to make 2 laps here for qualifying with him being in a backup car. It was his first 2 laps in that car. Again, crashed in practice with a flat right front tire yesterday. So Bell, although looks to be locked in with a 10th place qualifying effort today, will be starting at the rear of the field. Austin Cindric, who is in Group B qualifying, also will be in a backup car. No other drivers are in a backup car this weekend. Flat tires from Ross Chastain and Ty Gibbs did not amount to enough damage, or really any damage, to have to force them out of their primary cars for this weekend. Gibbs' second lap did not pick up a whole lot, a 23.599 for Ty Gibbs, so definitely not a good qualifying run for him, and he has been great in qualifying all season for the most part. Stenhouse just behind him, 24.180 on his first lap. Stenhouse, a 3-time Iowa winner in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And that classic win in the 6 car in one of his Roush Fenway Racing Championship seasons with Carl Edwards, where he had blown an engine off turn 4 coming to the checker. Edwards slipping in the oil behind him, runs into the back of him. They cross the line wrecking. Stenhouse gets the win. Edwards second that day. Stenhouse, not a good qualifying effort, though. Time's getting a little bit slower as we go down the list of drivers here for Group B. Stenhouse, 23.988. Couple tenths even behind Gibbs' time, as well as Harrison Burton. Ryan Preece now the last SHR Ford to qualify. 3 of the 4 in this second group. Preece, a pretty solid short track racer as well. 23.663 on lap 1. Faster than Stenhouse, but not as fast as Gibbs, so we'll see what the pickup will be. Very steady through turns 1 and 2 on lap 2. Can he replicate that in 3 and 4? Gets down to the white line. Pretty steady lap for Ryan Preece. We'll see what this is going to end up being. Preece going to lock himself in with no pickup, I don't think, or at least not a pickup in position. 23.663 was still the fast lap for Ryan Preece. It's a little bit faster than Briscoe's lap time, which was fastest again in Group A. Big slide for William Byron through turns 1 and 2. He got onto the white line, maybe a little too low, slid way up the racetrack. There's very little grip for a lot of these drivers through this qualifying session. A lot of slipping and sliding around. Byron's going to have to pick up exponentially from lap 1 to lap 2, although it was still a pretty good lap, even though he had that big slide in 1 and 2. Loose is fast if he can hang on to it and keep the hammer down, and apparently Byron was able to do so just well enough. Third fastest on lap 1. Byron on lap 2, bottoming out a little bit with those left side tires off the exit of the corner. Second fastest for Willie B. Definitely down on those ride limiters. Going through the bumps through the tri-oval on the front stretch. So he picked up from lap 1 to lap 2. 23.231 was the fast lap for Byron, against second fastest overall. Joey Logano is now on the racetrack. Penske teammate Austin Cindric will be right after him. Logano outside the cutoff line on points yet again, coming into another race weekend. He was fast at North Wilkesboro Speedway, though, in a similarly styled racetrack. Was able to get the win there, although it was a non-points race. That's why he's still not in the playoffs. Maybe he can get the win this weekend. Ford has really turned the corner over the last month and a half. Domino effect of Chris Buescher coming up with just an ever so close second place finish at Kansas. Following week, his teammate Brad Keselowski was able to get the win. Logano in the All-Star race that next week was able to get there. Cindric with a win at Gateway a couple weeks ago after Blaney was leading before that and then ran out of gas on the last lap. So Ford has definitely been very strong in recent weeks. Joey Logano, third fastest in qualifying so far, 23.281. Again, the Fast Five from Group A are going to be qualifying in the 6th through 10th place positions because the top 10 in the qualifying order today will be mixed. So top 5 from each group will make up the top 10 still. They're just not going to re-qualify for those 10 positions. And this is due to the condensing of qualifying with having the rain delay beforehand. With the track getting more rubbered in, and these Group B drivers being able to look at the SMT data and factor that into the qualifying laps here, the lap times are exponentially faster for these Group B drivers than what we saw from Group A. Austin Cindric into the top 5 with a 23.5 flat on his first lap. His second lap a little bit slower as he wraps it up. Martin Truex Jr. now on the racetrack. First and last trip to the Iowa Speedway for Martin Truex Jr. as again, he will be retiring from full-time Cup Series competition at the end of the 2024 season. Truex trying to put together a fast lap here this weekend as he still competes for a championship through the rest of the year. Hasn't won yet this season, but top 5 in the point standings. Trying to go out with a bang in his final year. And still trying to get his win, first win of the season in his final season as well. Truex 10th on lap 1 with a 23.956. I don't have too many more qualifiers to go after Truex. Wrapping up the second lap as Truex works his way off turn 4 now. And the Racer's Toyota Camry is going to move up the charts just a little bit. Well, he moved up in lap time, but not up the charts. He's still 10th quickest, but the second lap was quicker than his first. 23.698 is the locked-in time for Truex, and now Alex Bowman is out on the racetrack.
Confused. It's just what's the right approach here? We've seen some people. We've seen something like it's your advanced race play. If you make a wrong move, it's going to cut you, and it's just very difficult.
Bowman's first lap is 11th fastest, 23.71. You look at his teammate, William Byron, who is currently second fastest. A big gap between these two cars.
And in this car, you can see it's just not comfortable. And you think about it, Josh Berry ran a 17. Alex Bowman just ran a 71. That's 0.6 of a second. That is a mile away.
Yeah, on a short track.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mile away. And Bowman's not the only one. Truex, Priest, Gibbs, good race teams, good drivers, struggling today.
Suarez, who got a win second race of the year at Atlanta, locked himself into the playoffs. Now, trying to find a little bit of speed here in qualifying at Iowa.
Okay, that looked good.
We'll see if it equates to speed. Fourth fastest, 23.28 for his first lap. Saw something similar out of Logano. Let's see if he can pick up on his second lap. Logano wasn't able to.
Like the exit of 2 didn't go as well for him.
Whoa.
Now just quit, right? At that point, Rick, when you see a car go up the racetrack like that, what happens is you just quit turning the wheel. Like you get loose, you correct, you know your lap's over. Now it's just, okay, make it go straight, slow it down, don't get in the wall. You're just saving the race car at that point.
Push the limit on that first lap to get him
All right, so Brad Keselowski now on the racetrack. Suarez again, fourth quickest with a 23.286. His fastest of 2 laps was on his first. Had a big moment in turns 3 and 4 on his second lap where he went way up the racetrack, almost into the wall. Was able to make the save. And now Brad Keselowski again is the next driver out to qualify. And he's one of the last drivers to qualify here today. First lap timing in fifth quickest for Keselowski. Trying to talk too much at once there. Sorry for that. 23.413 for Brad. Second lap, rounding out now at the line. Quicker, third, 23.275, picked up about a tenth or two from lap 1 to lap 2. So Brad Keselowski is now up to third quickest. Ford, Chevy, top 5 in Group B. No Toyotas in the top 5. Ryan Blaney is now on the track. His teammates are in the top 7 in Group B. Difference in making the top 5 in this group is the difference in qualifying top 5 overall in the race and qualifying outside the top 10. So a much more important battle, I'd say, to get into that Fast 5 here for Group B. Blaney, top of the charts, 23.109. And with this being the first Cup Series race at Iowa, that is currently a new track record. Ford's looking speedy yet again here this weekend, as they have over the last several weeks. Qualifying very well here today. Lap 2 not as quick as the first lap for Ryan Blaney, but again a 23.109. Fastest overall. About 0.06 of a second quicker than Josh Berry's fast qualifying lap. And now we've got another Ford on the track, Chris Buescher in the 17. Struggled in practice yesterday. Both RFK Fords were outside the top 25 overall in practice times. Keselowski picking up currently to 4th in qualifying. And now Chris Buescher trying to pick up as well. Pretty smooth lap for Buescher. He won at Richmond last season on a very similar style racetrack. And he ran fairly well at Richmond earlier this year as well. Had some speed in the car. 7th on lap 1 for Buescher. Has to pick up here on lap 2. His teammate Keselowski was able to do it, so we'll see if Chris Buescher can as well. And the Fastenal Ford Mustang for Buescher will not pick up from lap 1 to lap 2. 23.358 fast lap for Chris Buescher. 7th overall. Well, 7th in this group. I guess overall he would technically be 13th. Because again, Group B will make up the inside row for tomorrow's race from position 6 on back. So Ross Chastain is now up on the racetrack. Blaney trying to hold on to that top time as he stands and waits on pit road. Chastain was top 5 in practice yesterday. Trying to look sporty and qualifying. A fairly steady lap for Ross Chastain. His teammate Daniel Suarez had a fairly respectable lap. Suarez actually quicker than Chastain through qualifying thus far. 23.412 on lap 1 for Chastain. Needs to pick up quite a bit to get to Blaney's time. Over 3/10 needs to be gained here on the second lap. More than likely not going to happen. Haven't seen those kinds of pickups in lap times at all yet in Group B from one lap to the next. And in fact, lap 1 still quicker for Chastain. Again, a 23.412. Kyle Larson is out on the racetrack. And I believe he is the last driver to qualify here today and the last one to try to go for the pole. Now, Larson has a few poles on short tracks already this season, so it is not impossible for him to get this fast time. He's also tied for the most poles this season with Michael McDowell with 3 overall. Won last weekend at Sonoma for his first road course win of the season, but his 3rd win overall this year, and his first on a 9.5 miles. Larson 3rd on lap 1, 23.190. Looked like he got a little loose getting into turn 3. I believe was where he had that slight mistake on lap 1. Lap 2, he looked to have been a little loose in 1 and 2 now. Digging hard. 3 and 4, way more steady than the first lap. Where will he be? Off turn 4, a little loose there as well. Larson digging to the line. Top of the charts, Kyle Larson, 23.084. Last driver to qualify knocks Blaney off the pole, and Kyle Larson gets his 4th pole of 2024 and his 3rd on a short track this season. Hasn't won on a short track yet this year, won a few of them last season. Kyle Larson trying to go back-to-back this weekend and trying to go for the clean sweep after qualifying on the pole, and now we'll go for the race win tomorrow. Kim Kuhn standing with Ryan Blaney, who qualifies 2nd.
I wish I would have picked up my second lap. Had a really good first lap, and I tried to change some stuff up. The second lap and I ran the same speed, maybe 100 slower, but I kind of missed 3 and 4 a little bit my second lap. But overall, yeah, I mean, it stinks to get beat by the cold last guy to go out, but that's expected from Lars. But proud of the effort by everybody on this 12 group. Advanced Auto Parts Ford Mustang. Struggled a little bit yesterday. I didn't think we were great, and they did a good job of getting better overnight. So really proud of that. So appreciate them, Menards, Ford, Discount Tire, Worth, Wabash, Snap-on, everybody. So Dex Imaging. So should be fun tomorrow. I got a lot of family here, so hopefully we can make a good showing.
Ryan Blaney mentioning a lot of family here. His mom Lisa from the greater Des Moines area.
Thanks, Kim. As we take a look at the starting grid, again, it was just one.
All right, so we'll go through the full field starting order for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race. Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney in row 1 for this one. Row 2 will be Josh Berry, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe in row 3. Row 4, Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick. In row number 5, it'll be Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin for row 6. Daniel Suarez, Todd Gilliland, row 7. Row 8, Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace. In row number 9, Ross Chastain and AJ Allmendinger. Justin Haley, Carson Hocevar in row 10. Austin Cindric and Michael McDowell, 2 Fords in row 11. Noah Gragson, fastest in practice yesterday, inside of row 12. Corey LaJoie to his outside. In row 13, Harrison Burton and Zane Smith. Row 14 for Ty Gibbs and Kaz Grala. Row 15 is Ryan Preece, Daniel Hemrick. Row 16, Martin Truex Jr. and Eric Jones, 2 Toyotas starting fairly deep in the field. Row 17 will be Alex Bowman, John Hunter Nemechek, and rounding out the field in row 18 tomorrow will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Austin Dillon. Dillon, the first driver who qualified today. Definitely had the disadvantage there. Kim Kuhn is caught up with pole sitter Kyle Larson on pit road.
Drive, you were the best of the field. How challenging were those laps?
It was challenging for sure. It wasn't as challenging as I was expecting. I get to watch everybody, so everybody looked really loose, really on edge, and I just tried to be under the edge, I guess, a little bit. So my lap felt fairly smooth, a little bit edgy, but not, like I said, as bad as I was expecting. So it helps going out last. It helps being able to watch everybody. So get to talk with Cliff before I go out too is beneficial. So yeah, happy to get the pole. I was hoping for rain, and didn't know what we would qualify. So yeah, glad that worked out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kyle Larson will lead the field to green in tomorrow's inaugural Cup Series race at Iowa.
3 wins off.
He said he was hoping for rain so that way he could have started on the pole with the metric system, but he didn't need it. He just got the pole himself outright. Again, 4th time this year for Kyle Larson. Unbelievable. 4 poles, 3 wins, 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s. He's the points leader. He's ran 1 less race than everybody in the Cup Series this season. Most stage wins, most laps led. It's looking like a potential replication of the 2021 season for Larson, the way this season has gone so far. So that is going to round up qualifying here today. Appreciate everybody staying tuned for this one, especially with that just over a half-hour delayed start with the rain. And we will be live for NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage next week. Or sorry, not next week, next. A little bit later on today. So 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be our start of the NASCAR Xfinity race coverage. Apologize for that slight speech impediment there. So again, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, about an hour from now, we'll go live for the NASCAR Xfinity race. Tomorrow's Cup race will be prime time, and our pre-race coverage will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Both the Xfinity and Cup races on the USA Network this weekend. cable television for anybody wondering where you can watch it visually. But again, right here on KRC, we will have it live as well. So that's going to wrap up the stream. Again, appreciate it, everybody, and I will see you very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and tune in a little bit.